We are Steve and Jill.
Together, we've been buying and reselling land since the 90s.
Our data-centric approach leaves our buyers asking, how can you sell it so cheap?
Here on the Land Academy Show,
We answer that and more. I'm Stephen Jack Butala.
And I'm Jill DeWit, and this is the Land Academy Show.
This is episode number 2080, and today, as promised, we talk about analyzing the Landlord real estate model. I think probably one of the most popular ways for new people or anyone really to make a bunch of real estate. We'll look at a personal case study that Jill and I have. We'll look at some of our friends' case studies, and then where you can actually take this if you are organized and have the right personality type to be a landlord. Not many people do. Everybody starts out thinking they're going to be a great landlord.
True.
Nearly everyone I know hates it.
Yeah, I'm going to be 20-something in college. I'm going to buy the house. I'm going to rent out all the rooms. It's all going to be easy and great, and no one's going to miss a payment. Nothing's going to get broken.
And no one has pets.
And no one's going to have a party. It's good.
This week, all week, we talk about your career choices in real estate. You have a lot of choices.
Yep.
Each day on the show, we answer a question from our Land Academy member Discord forum and take a deep dive into land-related topics by popular request. Jill, let's take a question.
All right, Jared wrote, okay, pricing question for you rock stars. It's been noted many times in the past that the general pricing discount guidance of 20 to 30% of retail doesn't hold for particularly large or valuable properties. I know it's not an exact science, but at what acreage/retail value would you start moving closer to 50% of retail, as has been previously suggested?
Thank you, Jared. We're not picking on you, but Jill and I have an internal saying that I'll share with you now. All conversations lead to pricing. And we don't say it fondly. Listen, here's the thing. Here's a big overview. You're going to establish what we call a retail price per acre in a zip code or a county or whatever you choose. And it might be $1,000 an acre. That's what's being purchased. That's what's listed for sale, and that's what's sold. And it's a finite, accurate, no opinion, no emotion figure. So if you look at everything that's priced at for sale and sold, and you come up with a number like $1,000 an acre, what we have done with huge amount of consistent success, both Jill and I and people that take this seriously in Land Academy, has sent out mailers for $200 to $300 an acre. That's 20 to 30% of retail, just exactly like you said, with success. For some reason, I'm not picking on you, that's not enough. And we've been doing this for almost 10 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And that simple explanation of what I just said is not enough.
Yeah.
Why is that?
10 years of Land Academy and 30 years of everything else. But anyway, why is what?
Why is it not enough? Like, why does we perpetually and continually, do we have to continue
pricing?
to talk about more detail than what I just said?
Because there's always new people in the group, and they're always learning, and we're always changing it. There's always new and better ways to do everything. And there's always new tools or perceived tools to make it easier. I think people are kind of hoping for an easy button, and they're hoping for an exact science. Even though he says, I know it's not an exact science. I know it's not exact science, but can you give me the percentage? Like, what the heck? You just said it's one, you just negated what you said. So you have to feel your way through it, unfortunately. Every market's different. It's silly, but it's true. There's so much that goes into it. You have to look at what's happening, what's active, what's happening and selling in this area over here. I mean, think about it. East Coast, West Coast. Think about the beach and the deserts. You know, it's so different. You can't always apply, and things like days on market go into play. What's happening in the area goes into play. The size of the properties go into play.
I say this with love.
Uh-oh.
The reason that people want more is because this is why I chose this question today.
Okay.
Because they have this perception. If I price my mailer different than 20 to 30% of retail, let's say 50% of retail, like Jared said,
True.
I will do more deals.
Yeah. More
And
people are
that
going to
is
call me back.
Absolutely incorrect.
Yeah. It is.
It works that way with houses, but not with land. And here's why. People choose to call Jill back when we send a mailer out because they are sick and tired of owning the piece of land that they have never seen. They want the money instead of the land and just don't care anymore. They're experiencing some type of life event. Kids going to college, spouse passed away, moving across the country, all kinds of things that we've all experienced in life where we could use 20 or 30 or 40 or 50 or 80 or $180,000 of cash infusion for something that's in the garage, essentially, and being unused or in a state and it's just unwanted. So they might get an offer from us for 50% of retail. It might be 30% or 20%. They're going to say yes.
Let me run this by you. Think about your primary residence. Like, it doesn't matter what you get in the mail. What if someone offered you twice what it's worth, right, on your primary residence? Well, number one, you're going to question it and go, that can't be right. And then number two, you're going to go, I don't want to sell. I'm happy. Unless you're in that life event situation, you're still going to giggle. You're going to giggle and go, wow, maybe I'm wrong about what it's worth, but you kind of know. You think your home is worth $1 million and they send it for you for $2 million. You're going to go, something's up here. I don't think this person gets it. And you're not going to call them. You're not going to act on it. You're not going to go ka-ching. You know what's really going on, that it's not right.
Here's the cherry on top.
And you don't care.
Here's the cherry on top of this concept. They don't know what it's worth and they don't care. They never did. They never wanted it. They're 9 times out of 10, they're not the person who decided to buy it or they inherited it or some other things going on. And so $30,000 or $20,000 just doesn't matter to them. They just want to get paid on next week or 2 weeks from now when they close escrow. It's the situation that we're after, not the actual piece of real estate, a life situation. And so Jill's nailed it. New people, and I understand, it's a very natural, this does not apply to houses in any way. Most people know what their house is worth. And they just basically know. It applies to land. They just want it. They would much rather do a deal with somebody like Sweet Jill on the phone who takes their calls and asks about their kids and their dogs.
And follows through
whatever,
and really gets it done.
And puts her money where her mouth is. And they would gladly accept 20 to 30% of actual retail value from somebody like that versus a curmudgeon like me on the phone who, is going to pay 50% and the whole process is awful.
Yeah.
If it's going to happen at all.
True.
I can't tell you the number of, we don't get a ton of, we own real estate all over the country, Jill and I. We get offers. Jill sometimes calls them back. Silence.
I know. I sign them and send them back. Silence. I'm like, just to see what happens. It doesn't matter.
Please don't have this perception, Jared, and all the listening population, when it comes to land, offering more will not yield a higher percentage of success.
Thank you.
Today's topic, let's take a look at the landlord real estate model. Hugely profitable. Everything in real estate, like everything in life, has to work on paper first. So if you've got it in Excel, you've got a house and you've got 3 choices. I'll bring this down to a real simple decision-making model for the landlord model. And then we'll look at some of the more complicated, complex ones where you can really make some dough. If you have 3 houses visualize 3 houses on a block, they all look the same. One house costs $30,000 because it's all a mess. One house costs $130,000 because it's clean and nice, but in its original state. And one costs $330,000 because somebody went in there and cleaned it all up. They all command about the same rent. Which one are you going to choose? You're going to choose the cheapest one. And so when you calculate a capitalization rate, a cap rate, you want that number to be as high as possible. So your rent is real high and your acquisition price is real low. You get 2 huge benefits, as I talked about yesterday, from being a landlord. Number one, you get a median income, or as fast as you can rent it, you get that monthly income. Hopefully it's more than what your costs are every month. You also
or you did it wrong.
You also get the huge benefit of balance sheet equity increasing year over year for the longer that you own the property, theoretically, in most places in the country. Then you've got this massive asset at the end. The big, huge reward at the end is when you sell or your heirs sell the property that you put into place, collected money on, paid off the mortgage theoretically, and now you have this asset. And so that can work really, really well, or it can seriously backfire on you which is most of the time, it does backfire because you're not looking at this. People don't look at it from in a spreadsheet first. It doesn't work on paper first. This landlord model is grossly misused and overused, in my opinion. Here's how a landlord model works for us.
Well, I could say, and you're even talking about if all goes well. You haven't even talked about all the things that could go wrong and do go wrong.
Well, let's just look at the money first, and then we'll talk about the social piece.
It's not the social piece. It's the money piece. Because it really, if you think every single one of your tenants is going to pay on time every month for the 50 years that you own this, you got another thing coming.
That's what I would call social.
I don't call it social, but okay.
If you're going to go buy a house and rent it out, your chances are you're going to go get a mortgage. You've just reduced your failure percentage possibility times 80. If you buy a piece of property for cash, do nothing to it, spend not a single dollar, rent it out to somebody who's, let's say, a nurse, and the property is within walking distance of where she works, you have increased your success tenfold. And this is the stuff that people don't talk about ever in this model. Your cap rate, you have to set your cap rate in the beginning, set a lease rate that goes up 2 to 3% every year automatically, set up auto pay, and then deal with what Jill's about to talk about, all the stuff that can go wrong. And it does go wrong. All for, and make sure you calculate this correct, make sure you calculate it in Excel or however you do it, a few $100s a month. If everything works right.
You're making a few $100s a month?
Yeah.
Okay.
If they pay on time,
right.
If they don't destroy the place, if they don't have 16 Great Danes, and on and on and on. So the SFR, as a landlord model, the SFR, the single family residence, a freestanding house, is the worst asset you can possibly implement financially in that model.
Because?
It's too expensive to operate. All kinds of things can go wrong with the real estate.
Because you only have one door.
One door.
One door, not the best plan.
That's right.
Okay.
Here's how the landlord model really works well.
Okay.
You buy into a group from an equity standpoint, Class A apartment buildings that have 40 plus units. And so now your per door cost that Jill just referred to is closer to, hopefully, between $20,000 and $50,000, not $300,000. And the rental rate is about the same. And hopefully it's in a good location and all of that. Now, everybody's rent's going up 2 to 3%. And after about 5 years, you go through a lease up. After about 5 years to 8 years, the amount of revenue that's coming in is way different than when you bought it. And you resell it on a similar cap rate. That's how being a real successful landlord works. You can do the same thing with triple net leases where the tenant, like McDonald's, most of the fast food chains that we've ever seen ever are on a triple net model where somebody owns the property, it owns the building on a triple net lease, and the tenant, the restaurant, pays for everything, including the real estate taxes. They pay for everything, no matter what goes wrong. That's a great...
It really is the best thing.
It's a fantastic model, but what you end up doing is having a cap rate that's so low that it's almost equal to bond yield. That's how low it is. So super low risk, but super low reward. You have to, no matter what, here's the takeaway from all this. Being a landlord is not passive. There's too many people on the internet that say, oh, that's the greatest thing ever. Buy a house, buy 15 houses, buy a small apartment building, and you just set it and forget it. That's never the case.
True.
Never, ever the case. We have a very close friend who owns hundreds of SFRs in the western part of Arizona, western part of Phoenix. He started this many, many years ago. Our kids were in preschool together. Our kids are all out of college now, or almost out of college. So he's been doing this for that long. He does not have a property manager. He manages all his own properties. He's a former mechanical engineer, so he's got that kind of weirdo personality. And he drives a car that's probably 25 years old and makes several $100,000 a month. And he capitalized the whole entire scenario correctly with a family member who put in several, like tens of millions of dollars at once, right up front. He didn't put any of his own money in. He just operates the whole thing. So it can really work. But I do not, and I don't think Jill does either, have that personality type.
I know. Here's how we do it all backwards. Ask me how many doors I own that are sitting there. And ask me. And then I rent one here and there to like family friends, and then I undercharge them. So we're doing it all wrong. It's really true. The good news is we paid cash for everything. So we have other plans for them. It's just not my thing.
Here's why.
I can't do it.
Here's why it doesn't work for Jill.
I can't.
This is a real example. Jill and I bought a long time ago from a bank when the real estate downturn around 2009 was in full swing. We bought a property in a pretty questionable neighborhood for $25,000, and it was nice. It was a nice, and we looked at it, and it's worth, at that time, it was worth 120. And so we looked at each other and said, I did very easy math. We can sell this for $80,000 this week.
Right.
We have 25,000 into it. We don't have to do a thing to it. Not a single thing. Not even paint it. How many months would it take of rent for us to make up that 80,000 minus 20,000 or whatever? That's $50,000 or $60,000, and it was like years. So we both look at each other and say, I'm not waiting years to get a return on this.
I want the money now.
I want it now.
Yeah.
And that's why we're flippers, which we'll talk about tomorrow.
Yep.
That's why we are not career landlords. Do we have stuff that we rent out successfully? Yeah. Either one of us ever really excited about it or want to duplicate it or make it a big, huge business? Nope. That's all personality type.
Exactly.
Join us tomorrow where we discuss the pros and cons of real estate flipping and how, well, I should have added. Jill and I have made tens of millions of dollars doing this, net over the years. So I feel qualified to talk about what's good about it and what's bad. You are not alone in your real estate ambition.
We are Jack and Jill.
Information
and inspiration
to buy undervalued property.
We hope you found our content valuable and we appreciate your support. If you have not already, please check out our channel and hit the subscribe button.
And your comments and suggestions help us to create the content you're here for. Hitting the like button helps to support our channel's algorithm and gauge your interest for future shows.